Why is the bust area of your bustier always coming out flat instead of protruding? Why is the chest line of your two bustier is not always firm? Why is it always falling off? In today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to draft, cut and sew an off-shoulder bustier or a two bustier. This method is simple, straightforward and beginners friendly. If this looks like something that you are interested in, please kindly watch this video to the end. We are going to start with the front bodice pattern, and I have a vertical line and a horizontal line, which is going to be my starting point and my guideline. So the horizontal line is going to be my center front line. Because this is going to be an off shoulder or a tube top, we are not going to have the regular shoulder line. Instead, we are going to start our measurement for either 4, 5 or 6 inches, depending on how high we want the neckline to be. For this one, I'm just going to maintain 5 inch, but I'm going to start from 4.5 because of this joining allowance. Then from this point, you are going to measure all other vertical points, which include your chest line, bust point, under bust point and the half length or the front length. If it is going to be a blouse, then that means you are going to measure up to the blouse length, and if it's going to be a jumpsuit, you're going to measure the half length, and if you want to attach to a skirt to make it dress, that means you are going to measure up to the half length, and if you want to make it a crop top, you are going to decide on the length of the crop top. Okay, so I'm going to do all this now, then I'm going to connect all the points with a straight line. Then after which I have connected like so, the next thing I'm going to do is to label all the lines accordingly. So here is my chest line, my bust point line, under bust point line, then the half length or the front length, also known as the waistline. After that, you come to the center front and divide your nipple to nipple measurement into 2. Then you mark half of it from the bust point line down to the waistline. After connecting like so, after that you connect with a straight line, and that is our dart line. So because this is a bustier, we are not going to have a regular waistline. Instead, we are going to measure 1 inch from both sides of this line. So you have 2 inches in total. Then whatever you measure on the waistline, you're going to measure the same thing on the under bust line. Although this measurement varies depending on the bust size, but for me, I'm working with bust 35 and 1 inch on both sides is enough. After this, you connect the points with a straight line like so. Now we are going to extend the dart to the starting point, and we are also going to do the tightening. So you measure from the center front to your dart line and add 1 inch to whatever measurement you have there. We are going to connect the points back to the bust point line, but before that, we are going to do the tightening, the chest or the over bust tightening. So to do that, you can take 1 inch on both sides of these points, or better still, you decide on how many inches you want to use for the tightening. If it's going to be 1 inch on both sides, that means you have 2 inches altogether. If you want 1.5, then that means you're going to take 0.75. So for this one, I'm just going to maintain 0.75 on both sides of this line because I want to tighten it by 1.5 inches. On the bust point line, I'll go up by half an inch. Then from that same bust point, I'll go down by 1 inch. Then I'm going to connect to the under bust with a curve, just like you see me doing. And when you are doing this, you want to avoid too much curve. So the next thing now is to connect from this half an inch back to the measurement we have at the top. So if you have a curve rule that is not too curvy, you can use it to connect like so, but at the same time you can also make use of your straight line to connect the points like so. So with this, we are done with the over bust tightening. So the next thing you want to do now is to work on the neckline. So here you are going to decide on how deep you want it to be. So from that 5 inch, you can measure up to like 7 inches or 6.5, depending on how much cleavage you want to open up. So then you are going to connect back to the points. You can make use of a straight line, a curved line, is any type of neckline of your choice. I'm going to demonstrate 3 types of neckline. If you want to make a sweetheart neckline, this is how you are going to do it. Alright, you're going to connect from that to that 6.5. But if you want to make use of a straight line to form a V, this is how you are going to do it. Then if you want to have a U neckline, this is how you are going to place your curve. So but everything you do falls back to that 6.5 or 7 inches. depending on what you want. All right, so from these three now, you can choose on how you want your neckline to be. So for me, I'm going to make use of this sweetheart neckline, the first line I drew. So that is what I'll be working with. All right, so that is that about the neckline. Now we are going to work on the chest line area to form our armor. So from the chest line, you can simply confirm your chest line again. On the chest line now, I'll mark 0.5 inch for disjoining or sewing allowance. Then I'm going to connect the point with a straight line. So this is going to be the new chest line where we are going to have or mark our armhole. On this new chest line, you are going to divide your bust circumference into 4 and you are going to measure and mark. After this, you come to this dart line and measure whatever you have there. You replace it. Then you are going to go ahead to add your sewing allowance of 1.5 inches, less or more than that. On the waistline, you divide your waist circumference by 4. You measure what you have on your dart intake. Then you are going to replace it. So here I have 7 inches for my waist. Then I have 2 inches for the replace. Then I had 1.5 inches allowance for the seam allowance. Then I'm going to connect with a straight line. So after this, I'm going to mark out the seam allowance that I have here. Then I'm going to indicate that I have seam allowance of 1.5 inches. From here, you connect back to the chest line. You can either make use of a free hand, and at the same time, if you have a curved ruler like so, just go ahead and connect it. And the next thing you want to do is to indicate on the center front that it is going to be on fold. So this is side front, I'm going to cut 2. Then this is center front, I'm going to be cutting it on fold. And as for the neckline, I'm going to maintain this first line. All right, so with this we are done with the front bodies. So after that, you can decide to add your 0.5 seam allowance to the hem on the pattern paper. So I'm going to do this so that it will make it easier for me when I'm transferring to the fabric. Then I also indicate that I have 0.5 inch seam allowance. So after this, you can now cut out your pattern. If you're new to the channel, thank you very much for stopping by. You are highly welcome. Do not forget to join the family by clicking on the subscribe button. It's totally free. Click on the notification bell so that whenever I drop a new video, you'll be the first person to know. And if you have a video request, kindly send or drop in the comment section. And to the returning subscriber, thank you very much. Thank you guys for always supporting me, for always coming back. I really appreciate you guys. And if you are finding this video helpful, kindly click on the like button, click on the share button so that we can. Then if you have a question, suggestion, observation, kindly drop in the comment section. Thank you. The first thing is to measure out the zipper allowance. So from here to here, I have 1.5 inches. So you can decide to make your zipper allowance less than 1.5, and at the same time you can maintain 1 inch or even 2 inches. So after drafting the zipper allowance, you want to measure from your shoulder line this time around, not the 5 inches. You're going to measure 7 inches. Then you're going to measure down to your back length or your half length. So I started from 6.5 because of the joining allowance. Then I had 0.5 allowance after I marked my half length. So just like for the front, you can decide to add on your fabric, and at the same time you can add it directly on your pattern paper. Then I'm going to connect with a straight line like so. So at the back, we do not need the bust point line and the under bust point line. We only need the waistline and the chest line. Now, I'm going to take my bust span measurement divided by 2 on the waistline and at the same time the chest line. Then you're going to connect with a straight line like so. After this, I'm going to take half an inch on both sides of this line to form the waist dart. Because we do not have a bust at the back, that is why we make use of our regular waist dart. Then I'm going to connect with a straight line to the top to form the dart legs. So after this, you are going to do the back tightening on the zipper allowance area and also on the center back. So here you are going to take out half an inch from the center back. Then you are going to connect back to the chest line. Then you do the same thing on the zipper allowance. So you are going to connect back to the chest line like so with a straight line, but it's going to be forming a slant line. This is to avoid zip bulge at the back. So after this, the next thing you want to do is to come to the chest line area and take your bust circumference divided by 4. Just like we did for the front, but you're going to start your measurement from the center back line, not the zip allowance. Just watch closely the way I'm taking my measurements. So my measurement is 8.5 inches. Then I'm going to add 1.5 inches that I added for the seam allowance at the front. The same thing is going to go to the back. On the waistline, you're going to take your waist circumference divided by 4 plus your 1 inch dart intake and 1.5 your seam allowance. Then you're going to connect with a straight line back to the chest line. Then I'll also indicate that I have my 1.5 inches seam allowance, the same way I did for the front. And with this, we are done with the back. So I already have my seam allowance of 0.5. I'm just going to write it out. So after this, now we are going to cut out our pattern. We are going to cut out this dart line and this back tightening. So I want you to watch closely the way I'm going to be cutting this. So I have center back and I also have side back. Then I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces for each of this pattern. So then you indicate the upper part and the down part so you don't mix it up when you are cutting. So guys, as you can see, the side aligns, so make sure that when you are cutting yours, it's also the same thing. That will be all for the pattern drafting of both the front and the back. As you can see, it's quite simple and straightforward. So I'm going to be using this Ankara fabric, also known as African print, and also this bridal satin, or you can also make use of any fabric of your choice and any color that you have on the fabric. So I'm going to use this bridal satin for the back, and I'm going to be using the Ankara fabric for the front and the skirt part. Then I'm going to transfer all my patterns to fabric and lining. Because the front is going to be on fold, so I folded my fabric into 2 before cutting out my pattern, and this is why it is like this. I added a fusible interface and at the same time I added my wording, as you can see. Then I did the same thing on the lining as well, and I added my fusible interface on it. So for the side front, I did the same thing. I cut 2 of it, then I cut 2 of the lining as well. I added fusible interface, then I added my wording to the side. So this is between 4 to 5 inches. You don't want it to be too long or getting under your arm so that you will not be uncomfortable when you are wearing it. So what I have here is just 4 inches. Then the highest it can be is 5 inches, and you're going to cut it out or trace it out. So it's going to stop 1 inch after the under bust line. And as for the back, I cut out the center back and the side back. Then I also cut out the lining and I added fusible interface to it as well. So I added 0.5 sewing allowance all around my patterns where necessary, except for the waist area. I already have my 0.5 on the pattern paper. Now we are going to start by joining the piece together, and we are going to start with the front bodice. Whatever I do on the fabric is what I'm going to be doing on the lining. So the front piece is going to be 3 like so. Then I'm going to join the 3 pieces together. As for the front lining, it's going to be 3 pieces as well. Then I'm also going to be joining it together. So I use my main fabric to cut out the lining, so I definitely have my sewing allowance. Then as for the back pattern, this is what it's going to look like. I already have my 0.5 sewing allowance, as you can see, so I'm going to join it together. I have 4 pieces altogether. That means 2 pieces for each of the sides of the back. So guys, I went ahead to turn the back pattern. I joined the 2 pieces together, and as you can see, I have 2 pieces. This part is going to be my zipper allowance like so. I'm going to be folding it in. So when you are done joining your front bodies together, it should give you something like this. Alright, as you can see, the bust area is coming up already. So you turn to the wrong side, open, press your seam and notch all important points. So what makes your bustier come out well is a proper pattern drafting, correct accurate measurement, and then the under bust area you notch and press. So this will make it relax, and the bust point area is definitely going to raise. Then at the same time, your wording, your interface, and so on like that. Those are the things that complement your bustier. As you can see, even from the wrong side, you can see the effects of the bustier. So I already have my lining here. I open press my lining as well so that it can also relax. Then you are going to place your lining on the main fabric like so. Arrange it very well. Make sure it's aligned. Then you are going to do the sewing on the upper part, that is the chest line. If you want to have a yoke, you are going to place it on the fabric before you place the lining. And if you also want to have a strap, you are going to place the strap on the fabric before the lining, wherever you want to place it. So for this one, I'm going to be cutting a piece of fabric to make a tiny strap. I'm going to be making use of this bridal satin to cut a tiny strap of about 0.75 or 1 inch wide. So if you want a strap on your own, go ahead and do the same thing. And if you do not want anything at the top, just place your lining on it and cut it. So guys, I'm done with the strap and this is what I have. So I'm going to be placing it exactly on the dart line at the front. So I'm going to be using the dart line as my guide. Then I'm going to be pressing it on it like so, and I'm also going to pin it down. So after which I'm done with this, then I'm going to place my lining on it. It is when I'm done with this that I'm going to, it is after the strap now that you are going to place your lining on the main fabric. So this is to secure the edge of the fabric and also to have a neat finishing. Then I'm going to run a stitch of 0.5 sewing allowance all through. I'm going to sew the side, the two sides. Then we are going to leave the down part open because we want to turn it around. After turning it, I top stitch on the lining so that we can have a neat finishing and also to secure the lining. If you want to attach a ready-made bra cup inside your bustier, you're also going to do that before you turn it around with your lining. Now I'm going to be placing the back pattern on the front pattern like so, and the strap that is coming from the front is definitely going to be attached to the back, except if you want to tie it around your neck. So for me, I'm going to be using the dart line at the back also as a guide, just like I did for the front. So what I'm going to do is to measure. Remember, we have 5 inches. We left 5 inches at the upper part before we start drafting our pattern earlier. So I'm going to multiply the 5 by 2 for both the front and the back, and I'm going to be adding extra 2 inches because the back does not start exactly where the front started. Remember, the back starts from the chest line while the front starts from 5 inches. So you can simply measure after placing the back on the front. You measure the difference. I have 2 inches. Then you are going to add it to the 10 inches. So altogether I have about 12 inches. I'm going to be adding 0.5 for the joining allowance, and I have 12.5 inches altogether. So you can cut more than that just to be on the safe side in case you want to adjust it. After that, I'm going to open a space of about 1 inch because I need to tuck in the edge of this strap and also to have a neat finishing. Then I'm going to do the 2 on the both side of the back pattern. So I already have an opening at the waistline where I'm going to be turning it around. So I'm going to join the 2 sides using 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I'm going to finish up the hem. Then we are going to fix the zipper. So if you want to make it a crop top, it is ready. You are just going to fix your zipper and you secure the hem of the top. But if you want to make it into a jumpsuit or a dress just like mine, that means you're going to have a down part. So this is a ready-made dress that I'm just trying to change the upper part to a bustier. Go ahead and make a skirt or a trouser to the down part, and if you want to make it a blouse, it's fine. If you want to make it a crop top, it is fine. But because this is a dress that I already have, so I already have a skirt, and I'm going to be attaching it to the waistline. I'm going to fix my zip, then we are going to do the fitting. I'm going to show us how it's going to look like. The main gist of the tutorial is just the bustier part, in which you can do as you like. Be creative about it, and I'll be glad to see your recreation. I believe you are going to do better than what I did. I can't wait to see it. So guys, that will be all for this tutorial. I'm just going to join my piece together and we are going to see the magic we have been making together. So guys, that'll be all for today's tutorial. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click on the like button, click on the notification bell beside it, so that whenever I drop a new video, you'll be the first person to be notified. And if you have a video request, kindly let me know in the comment section. Till next time we meet again, bye bye and thank you.